अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। हरि ओम्। ओम नमो भगवते श्री रामकृष्णाय। तव कथामृतं तप्तजीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमङ्गलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः। Readings from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, page 168. Vijay, sir, why are we bound like this? Why don't we see God? Master, Maya is nothing but the egotism of the embodied soul. This egotism has covered everything like a veil. All troubles come to an end when the ego dies. If by the grace of God, a man but once realizes that he is not the doer, then he at once becomes a Jivan Mukta. Though living in the body, he is liberated. He has nothing else to fear. This Maya, that is to say, the ego, is like a cloud. The sun cannot be seen on account of this thin patch of the cloud. When that disappears, one sees the sun. If by the grace of the Guru, one's ego vanishes, then one sees God. Rama, who is God himself, was only 2.5 cubits ahead of Lakshmana. But Lakshmana couldn't see him because Sita stood between them. Lakshmana may be compared to the Jiva and Sita to Maya. Man cannot see God on account of the barrier of Maya. Just look, I am creating a barrier in front of my face with this towel. Now you can't see me, even though I am so near. Likewise, God is the nearest of all, but we cannot see Him on account of this covering of Maya. The Jiva is nothing but the embodiment of Satchidananda. But since Maya or ego has created various upadhis, he has forgotten his real self. Each upadhi changes man's nature. If he wears a fine black bordered cloth, you will at once find him humming Nidhu Babu's love songs. Then playing cards and a walking stick follow. If even a sickly man puts on high boots, he begins to whistle and climbs the stairs like an Englishman, jumping from one step to another. If a man but holds a pen in his hand, he scribbles on any paper he can get hold of. Such is the power of the pen. Money is also a great upadhi. The possession of money makes such a difference in a man. He is no longer the same person. A Brahmin used to frequent the temple garden. Outwardly, he was very modest. One day, I went to Kondagar with Hriday. No sooner did we get off the boat than we noticed the Brahmin seated on the bank of the Ganges. We thought he had been enjoying the fresh air. Looking at us, he said, "Hello there, priest. How do you do?" I marked his tone and said to Hriday, "The man must have got some money. That's why he talks that way." Hriday laughed. A frog had a rupee which he kept in his hole. One day, an elephant was going over the hole, and the frog, coming out in a fit of anger, raised his foot as if to kick the elephant and said, "How dare you walk over my head?" Such is the pride that money begets. One can get rid of the ego after the attainment of knowledge. On attaining knowledge, one goes into samadhi and the ego disappears. But it is very difficult to obtain such knowledge. It is said in the Vedas that a man experiences samadhi when his mind ascends to the 7th plane. The ego can disappear only when one goes into samadhi. Where does the mind of a man ordinarily dwell? In the first 3 planes. These are the organs of evacuation and generation and at the navel. Then the mind is immersed only in worldliness, attached to woman and gold. A man sees the light of God when his mind dwells in the plane of the heart. He sees the light and exclaims, "Ah, what is this? What is this?" The next plane is at the throat. When the mind dwells there, he likes to hear and talk only of God. When the mind ascends to the next plane, in the forehead, between the eyebrows, he sees the form of Satchidananda and desires to touch and embrace it. But he is unable to do so. It is like the light in a lantern, which you can see but cannot touch. You feel as if you are touching the light, but in reality you are not. When the mind reaches the seventh plane, then the ego vanishes completely and the man goes into samadhi. Vijay, what does a man see when he attains the knowledge of Brahman after reaching the seventh plane? Master, what happens when the mind reaches the seventh plane cannot be described. Once a boat enters the black waters of the ocean, it does not return. Nobody knows what happens to the boat after that. Therefore, the boat cannot give us any information about the ocean. Once, a salt doll went to measure the depth of the ocean. No sooner did it enter the water than it melted. Now, who could tell how deep the ocean was? That which could have told about its depth had melted. Reaching the seventh plane, the mind is annihilated. Man goes into samadhi. What he feels then cannot be described in words. The eye that makes one a worldly person and attaches one to woman and gold is the wicked eye. The intervention of this ego creates the difference between Jiva and Atman. Water appears to be divided into two parts if one puts a stick across it. But in reality, there is only one water. It appears as if two on account of the stick. This eye is the stick. Remove the stick and there remains only one water as before. Now, what is this wicked eye? It is the ego that says, "What? Don't they know me? I have so much money. Who is wealthier than I?" If a thief robs such a man of only 10 rupees, first of all, he wrings the money out of the thief. Then he gives him a good beating. But the matter doesn't end there. The thief is handed over to the police and is eventually sent to jail. The wicked eye says, "What? Doesn't the rogue know whom he has robbed? To steal my 10 rupees? How dare he?" Vijay, if without destroying the eye, a man cannot get rid of attachment to the world and consequently cannot experience samadhi, then it would be wise for him to follow the path of Brahma-jnana to attain samadhi. If the eye persists in the path of devotion, then one should rather choose the path of knowledge. Master, it is true that one or two can get rid of the eye through samadhi, but these cases are very rare. You may indulge in thousands of reasonings, but still the eye comes back. You may cut the peepal tree to the very root today, but you will notice a sprout springing up tomorrow. Therefore, if the eye must remain, let the rascal remain as a servant eye. As long as you live, you should say, "O God, thou art the master and I am thy servant." The eye that feels, "I am the servant of God, I am his devotee," does not injure one. Sweet things cause acidity of the stomach, no doubt, but sugar candy is an exception. The path of knowledge is very difficult. One cannot obtain knowledge unless one gets rid of the feeling that one is the body. In the Kali Yuga, the life of man is centered on food. He cannot get rid of the feeling that he is the body and the ego. Therefore, the path of devotion is prescribed for this cycle. This is an easy path. You will attain God if you sing his name and glories and pray to him with a longing heart. There is not the least doubt about it. Suppose you draw a line on the surface of water with a bamboo stick. The water appears to be divided into two parts, but the line doesn't remain for any length of time. The servant eye or the devotee eye or the child eye is the only a line drawn with the ego and is not real. So we are in the chapter called The Master and Vijay Goswami in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We saw in the last week how Sri Ramakrishna has been telling us that how we depend upon the worldly things, and for that we have to depend upon the provider of the worldly things. And that's how we lose our independence. That he explained. And today in our readings we found that Vijay, who was sitting there and talking to Sri Ramakrishna, is putting a question. His question is, if we cannot escape from the worldly attachment, and if you are bound like that, and over and above, we get a guru who is not well competent to release us from this samsara, because Sri Ramakrishna explained that we saw last week that a guru should be like a cobra. He gives the instruction and the disciple realizes that he is one with God. So if not that type of guru is there, then he compares the guru who is of the low standard as a snake who cannot swallow the frog it has grasped, and it cannot spit it out also. And in that, guru is also suffering, that the snake is also suffering, and the disciple, the frog also is suffering, because frog is not having death. But if the guru is like a cobra, in 3 croaking sounds, the frog is put to silence. So it's a very beautiful example of course, sometimes some people say, oh, guru is compared with a cobra. But it's not in that sense of a bad sense of a cobra. The cobra is so powerful compared to the rattlesnakes or the water snakes. So water snakes cannot do like a cobra. A cobra is a cobra. Many of in television series we get about the cobras, particularly in Discovery Channel, you might have seen how the cobras, they picturize, and it is so wonderful. And when it stands on its legs, I'm telling the leg means on the tail it stands, and it moving its head like this, it's so beautiful it is. Snake can be beautiful, and it's very adorable, and you can actually love them. Only thing we don't want to go near it. But from the distance when you see in the film, yes, they're so beautiful. And such beauty you find
scary.
Scary when you go near it. In the film it's all right. But when you see Vishnu lying over the snake, and it's not a snake with one head, 1,000 heads it has got. 1,000 hooded snake, as it is called, Adisesha. And that Adisesha, over that Vishnu is lying. Take Lord Shiva, and Shiva has got snake not only on his neck, which you see, on his hands, everywhere, wherever the round things comes, he has got a snake. See his son Ganesha. Ganesha had a snake in the girdle. He has put it like a belt. He has tied a snake there. So indicating that Mooladhara, the Kundalini Shakti is here.
Yes.
That's why the Ganesha's Rupaka, as we call it, when we see what Ganesha means philosophically, then we bring that item, that how the Ganesha has tied a snake there. So we find the snake has got such a beautiful, and it is always compared with the Kundalini Shakti that we have. And because the Shakti is not awakened, and it is lying or asleep for the time being in most of us, so that is, and it is not straight, because it is sleeping, and it has made itself into a rounded, circled one. So it is called like a snake. So it's called Kundalini. Kundalini means it is that which is centered around like that. So that is called
That's
Kundalini.
Why it's called
Kundalini.
Gotcha.
So say Kunda means a pot. a pot. In that you put something, so they are all rounded up there. It's coiled. Coiled energy we call it. It's not actually a snake. Some people think that it's a snake. No, it's not a snake. It's like a snake. How the snake sits. When snake goes into sleep, it doesn't keep his body at length. It always makes a kundali that is coiled up. So that coiled up energy is compared with the snake because all the things are there. When Sri Ramakrishna was asked once how this kundalini shakti can be awakened. So he says, think of a snake. It is sleeping and it is coiled up. After coiled up, it is sleeping. Now how you will raise the snake? So when the people, Magudi, that they bring music, that fellow comes and he brings the snake in a small basket. And the basket, it is round and round, it is there. And it is sleeping and it won't come up. And he wants to show a magic there and he wants to get the snake up. So he just goes on patting on its head. So if you just pat it once, twice, second, 3 times, 4 times, then the sleep goes off and the kundalini raises its head. So Sri Ramakrishna gives this example and says that patting on the head of the snake is what we have to do. So here, what is this head of the snake? Is our mind. Our mind has to be again and again patted with the name of God. So by repeatingly telling the name of God, you are actually patting on the head of the snake, the kundalini energy, and the energy awakens. So after that, this Vijay is putting a question. Why are we bound like this? Why? What is the reason that God has made us bound like that? Why don't we see God? Then Sri Ramakrishna gives a beautiful explanation, which is also a great contribution to the Indian philosophy, I should say. What is Maya has been discussed in our philosophy at great length. People have gone, the great sages in the past have gone discussing, writing chapters after chapters, and they have written. But Sri Ramakrishna brings it in a very nutshell. He puts it, Maya is nothing but the egotism of the embodied soul. Don't think of the Vishwa, that is the universe, etc., and how it is bewitchingly taking our attention, etc. Nothing he goes into that. He simply puts it as a egotism of the embodied soul. Because we are all embodied soul. We are called Jivatma. So Jiva and Atma both are combined. So that's why we are called Jivatma. Where the Jiva is gone away at the time of Samadhi, then what remains is Paramatma. So Paramatma, that Atma, Jivatma's Atma, substantially or in substance, they are same. There is no difference. So Shankara also says that Jiva and Brahma are Aikya. They are all one and same. They are not different. Swami Vivekananda also accepts that theory. And he says, yes. And Sri Ramakrishna taught Naren at his young age that how to see the Jivas, not as Jivas, but as Shiva. So Shiva Jnane Jiva Shiva. That is the mantra Sri Ramakrishna gave him. So we find all the Jivas are only outside. We have got body and mind and ego. That is very important. Ego is the biggest element here. So this egotism has covered everything like a veil, like a screen, like a parda. It has covered. All troubles come to an end when the ego dies. That's wonderful. And he says, though living in the body, if the ego is completely gone, that means the person says he is not the doer, then he becomes Jivan Mukta. So immediately he becomes liberated. Liberated while living in the body. That is the beauty of the things. Many people attain Samadhi and leave the body and become liberated. Yes, that is a normal thing that we all heard. But living in the body itself, one can remain in a liberated state of mind. That we are today morning, one devotee came, we were talking about Swami Shantananji, one of the great souls of the Ramakrishna order. In Ramakrishna order, you will find many great saints have come, but they do not exercise their individuality. That is one of the beauty of the order, that we are always taught to subsist ourselves under the umbrella of the order. So the order has to be glorified. See, Ramakrishna's name has to be glorified, not about a personal individual's glory or his talents. So Shantananji was a disciple of Holy Mother, and he had such a wonderful attitude that everything is done by Mother, because he was initiated by Holy Mother. Only to 2 boys Holy Mother gave the Garua cloth, and one was Shantananji and another was Vishuddhananji. These are the 2 boys who came to Mother. And generally Mother would send everybody to go to Brahmananji, go to Belur Math and take sannyas there. That's what she would advise. But these 2 boys, for them, she herself gave. So that's Shantananji and Vishuddhananji both were disciples of Holy Mother. And they both of them used to always remember Holy Mother. So in Shantananji's life, we found like that. Never had any problem with his ego. I'll tell you how, even after passing away of Holy Mother, after many years, he used to talk to her. And he would tell the people, okay, let me talk to Holy Mother and tell you. And people would think 1920 Holy Mother passed away. And now it is 1950. And what he is going to talk and how is it? Or it is just because he is old man, his brain has gone like that. Or he is imagining like hallucination. Like that people who think like that. But it was not so. Exactly, I will give you one incident of what happened long year before. I think on the year of my birth, this incident happened in Ranchi. So that I heard from Swami Atmasthananji. So Atmasthananji was assistant secretary of the Ranchi TB Sanatorium Center. And the head of the center, Swami has decided to close down the center because there is no money. There are TB patients are there, and we don't have money to purchase medicines for them, and we don't have enough resources to feed the patients. So he said, what is the use of running this center? Let me write to Belur Math recommending it to close down this center. So that is possible. If it is not possible to run, you can close it down. So he simply wanted to write. On that day, he was very sad because he is going to write to Belur Math a sad thing that I cannot run this center has to be closed. You know that it affects his mind. And when he was walking on the street in the Shantananda Kutia, as we call it now, that Kutia where Shantananji was staying, he was standing outside and looked at this one. He was very lovingly called Anukul Maharaj. So he called, hey Anukul, you come here, like that he called him. So Anukul went near him. Shantan said, I find your face is very morose. What happened? Then he made pranam to him and said, Maharaj, I have no other way except to close this center. So I am going to close it. Hearing this, Shantanji said, what? Such a wonderful service is being done to the tribal people who have got nothing except our support. And they are coming here to take a treatment of tuberculosis. And in those days, 1950s, tuberculosis was a big disease. It is called a killer disease. And no medicine was found. Only refreshing hawa you require, that wind you require, that's all. That's no other medicine. And then he said, you are going to close down. No, wait. Let me talk to mother. Ask her, and what she says, let me tell you. So give me 2 days. So he came away, and he told Atmasthananji, who was his assistant, you see, today Shantananji called me and told like this. I do not know what that old man has got. I think he may be thinking like that he's making some comment. So Atmasthananji also did not make any effort to find out. And then 2 days after, Anukul Maharaj went to him, again made pranam, and he was shouting at him and telling, Anukul, come here, come quickly. And Anukul Maharaj ran to him. Then he said, Anukul, one good news is there for you. He said, what is the good news, Maharaj? I talked to mother. And mother says, this was in 1952. Mother says, I am sending the money. Money is required, is it not? I am sending the money. So you need not write to Belur Math for closing down the institution. So this is what decision he gave. And he came back and told Atmasthananda, his assistant, you see, this is what he said. Now I am in dilemma. He's a senior man. And Belur Math reveres him like God. And Should I listen to him or should I go by my decision? Like that he was in dilemma. Then Atma Swami told him, Maharaj, you wait. He told that mother will send. Let us have faith in his words. He is such a wonderful man. And Atma Swami had greatest regard for Shantananji. So he wait, he said. Then 1 week after, a letter comes from Belur Math, written by the General Secretary, Swami Madhavananji, asking Anukul Maharaj, you send Atma Swami to Belur Math, urgent work is there. That was what the letter said. It's a postcard. And Atma Swami went to Belur Math. And then the General Secretary Maharaj says to him, you see, in the Great Eastern Hotel, one barrister has come from London. He wants to know about our activities. So that though he is a Bengali gentleman, but he doesn't speak Bengali, he speaks only English. So you speak English very well. So you go and explain about our activities. So Atma Swami went there. So he went and he was received there and sat in the lounge, and the gentleman came with his wife, young wife. They came, and the barrister was talking only in English, and the barrister says, what are the activities? Tell me. So he started telling about the center that was started by Swamiji's disciple, Swami Kalyanananda in Haridwar ashram. Swami Purnananji recently went to that ashram. A very beautiful hospital center is there. In those days, this building was not there. A small building was there. The Swami Kalyanananji, the disciple of Swami Vivekananda, used to go out in the streets of Haridwar and look for the patients who are lying there. Sometime lying on the floor, sometime on the road. Those people would be brought by them, and then they would serve them. That was the condition in those days, much long before our Mother Teresa did in Calcutta. Much long before that. Kalyananji had done that. He used to bring poor people like that and serve them in the hospital. So that hospital he was explaining. Then he told about the students' home, Ravada students' home for Anath Ashram, for the orphan boys, he told. And then like that, Brindavan Hospital, which was started by Swamiji. Swamiji's disciple started that on Swamiji's instruction. So that one he was telling. Like that, one by one he was telling. But Atma Swami, this incident I heard from Atma Swami himself. That's why I'm telling you so authoritatively. So Atma Swami told me, I was looking at this barrister while expressing. See, he must have some expression. I'm telling something, very glorious thing. He should say, oh, like that something. But his face was like a stone-faced. No reaction. Then I mentally decided, I will not go further to tell him because nothing is registering in his mind perhaps. So it's better I put a full stop. And then I said, likewise many other activities. I closed like that. When I closed, then that gentleman barrister looked at me intently and asked, are you from Belur Math? I said, yes, I am from Belur Math monk, but I am posted in Ranchi. What do you do in Ranchi? I am the assistant secretary there, and we do seva to TB patients. We have a TB sanatorium. The moment he heard the word, that gentleman's face changed. He got up. He came and embraced Atma Swami. Why you didn't tell about this first? Your center. You didn't talk about your center. You're talking about all the other centers. I said, how does it make a difference to you? He asked. Then he says, no, I had a dream where Holy Mother came and said, go to India and give this money to the sanatorium. So I have come. And you are not telling about that sanatorium, which is to my heart. I am coming with you to Ranchi, and I would like to see the activity there. And then he came next week, he came to Ranchi with his wife, and then they saw the activity. They saw that 15 lakhs rupees in 1952, a check was given to, and that money is still in Belur Math, and it has gone into crores, I think. So now, and it is a fixed permanent deposit account.
Oh, they did not use it for...
No, the interest would be
Interest
used.
what they used.
Permanent fund should not be used. So, if you give donation to permanent fund, that will remain. So, that interest from that, earning from that fund, it should be used. So, that is how Ranchi was saved. Ranchi Sanatorium was saved. And why I am telling you is, Shantananji said, I will talk to Holy Mother. And he just talked to her. And he got her grace also, you see. How this man has come and given that money. And Swami Atmasan used to say, I never had such a miracles in my life seen like this, greater than this. I have seen Swami Abhedananji. Abhedananji was the direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He had seen him. And he has stayed with him when he was a young boy. When he was studying in college, he used to go to him and sit with him and listen to his talks, etc. And such great the company of monks he had. So one of them was the Swami Shantananji, what he says. So who had no wheel of Maya. So as Ramakrishna says, he had a towel in his hand. He used to keep towel on his kanda and shoulder. And he took the towel and he just put it before his eyes and is asking Vijay, are you able to see me? I said, no, because your face is hidden by the towel. So likewise, this ego is a thing that hides the Paramatman which is inside us and from our eyes. So it's a very beautiful example he gives here. So it is by the grace of the Guru one's ego vanishes. So the question comes now, if the ego is obstruction, if the ego is Maya, and Maya there is no other definition Sri Ramakrishna gives, you see, how beautifully he brought it. Ego is the Maya, and if the egotism, as in English they have written, egotism or egoism, so that is Maya. And how you are going to remove this? And Sri Ramakrishna gives in the line of Tulsidas, the beautiful sentence he says, by the grace of the Guru, one's ego vanishes. Tulsidas says in Hanuman Chalisa, Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhar. Nijamana Mukura, this man, Nijamana, that my mind is like a mirror. And that mirror is full of dust. And I go and stand before the mirror, I cannot see myself because of the dust is there. So I have to take a cloth and clean the mirror. Once the mirror is well cleaned, then I can see myself very well. So he says, Nija mana mukura sudhar. How do you make the sudhar? How do you clean the? So he says, Sri Guru Charana Saroja Raj. The powder, Raj means powder. And the powder of Sri Guru Charana. Charan Dhuli bole na Bangla mein. Charan Dhuli. So that Charana, that Raja, Sri Gurus, that your Guru's Charan Raj you take, and then that is the feet, the dust of the feet, holy feet. And with that you clean your mind. Mind which is mirror. And then you can see yourself very well. So the ego vanishes. Then he says, then one sees God. Though he becomes a Jivan Mukta, though living in the body, he is liberated. He has nothing else to fear. That is what you see. The fear of death is the biggest fear of us. Recently I was in France to attend the memorial meeting of Swami Vimokshananda who passed away. And in that meeting, in my talk, what I said, the fear of death is the biggest thing of us. Not the fear of losing my house, not the fear of losing my pet and my own people, spouse and children, not the fear of losing even my prestige in the society. But what is the biggest fear of the human mind? The biggest fear is death. And to overcome the fear of death is what the spiritual life, the spiritual methods are given to us. And it says, if a person living in the body is liberated, becomes a Jivan Mukta, he has nothing else to fear. No fear at all. And that's how every Swami has to find out how one can become a liberated soul even while living in the body. So he said the Jiva is nothing but the embodiment of Satchidananda. Then who is this Jiva? The ego is the Maya. So the Maya is hiding the Jiva. And what is Jiva? It's nothing but the embodiment. That means he put it into a small form and name, given a name of Satchidananda. Satchidananda is the quality of Brahman, is the Swarupa of Brahman. What is the Swarupa? The nature of Brahman, Sat, Chit, Ananda. These are the three Swarupa of nature. Nature of Brahman. That is the Jiva. Since the Maya or ego has created various upadhis, the Jivatma has forgotten the real self. That's why then he talks about upadhis. Upadhi is a very beautiful word in Vedanta. We use this word to indicate that certain things extraneous to me, which is not my own, which has come to me due to different factors. Like, say for instance, wealth, he says. Wealth is not inherent in me. I am an individual and I work. I gain knowledge and I work and I earn money. So that I am increasing my wealth. Every month I am putting something in my bank account and you are increasing the wealth. So this wealth is an external thing. But because I am acquiring it, I get attached to that wealth. So everybody must see me as a wealthy man. So a wealthy man goes everywhere. People will speak among themselves, oh, this is a wealthy man has come. He is a crorepati. He is a billionaire has come. Like that they will only speak about him. So the wealth has been an extraneous thing. That extraneous thing has now become attached to his personality. Likewise, name and fame. Name and fame is also another upadhi. Wealth is upadhi. And beauty, handsomeness, these are all upadhis. They are not inherent in you. They came from outside and you get attached to that. Because people are seeing you in that line, you also get attached to that. And he said these upadhis are the biggest hurdle in our life. So, money is a great upadhi. The possession of articles is a great upadhi. Like that he says, that everybody says. So he gives a beautiful example of a Brahmin who used to visit Dakshineswar temple very often. And he would come and very humble and meet Paramahansa and pranam to him, etc. But in Konnagar, on function when Ramakrishna went, he was just sitting near the boat arrival place, and he looked at Ramakrishna and said, hey, Bhamon, kevan achatuvi? Like that he says. That tone of his talking, Ramakrishna could understand. He must have received some money recently, he says. So the money is like that. And he gives a beautiful example of a frog. Frog had a rupee in his hole, and he comes out and raises his leg to the elephant. So that is such a, how dare you walk over my head? So he's asking, pride. The money begets pride. One can get rid of ego after the attainment of knowledge. And here Sri Ramakrishna explains the Sapta Bhumi of the yoga path. In yogic practices, you get this, as I said, Kundalini. From Kundalini, the first plexus, they are called plexus, and they are called chakra. So first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh goes here. In our puja, we say that may the Kundalini be awakened and raise from chakra to chakra and come and join. This is Jiva Shivam Parama Shiva Pade Yojayami Swaha. That's what we say. Yojayami. So I am joining the Jiva Padam to Parama Padam. Parama Padam is on the head portion. So the seventh, chakra. So there we find that he speaks about that. First three chakras, man is attached to woman and gold. Then he says, fourth chakra, when the Kundalini rises, he sees only light. Some people come and tell us, oh, Maharaj, I had suddenly a flash of bright light while meditation. Meditation, all these experiences, ordinary people also get it. Suddenly the Kundalini may jump and it may go to the fourth chakra and you see the light, so bright light. You can't see with this physical eyes, but you can see inside that light. Then he says, going to the forehead and then between the eyebrows, and he sees the form of Satchidananda, and he sees his Ishta Devata. His Ishta appears before him. He wants to run and catch and embrace his Ishta Devata. Many people see Krishna like that, and they want to run. And that, he says, but then he cannot touch his Ishta Devata. Because, like a lantern, he gives an example. Lantern has got a glass outside. You can see the brightness, but then you cannot touch the wick because there is a lantern that separates us. The ego is the thing that separates us. And when the mind reaches the seventh plane, the ego vanishes completely and the man goes into samadhi, where the mind gets completely dissolved. there is no mind to think, then how you will come back and tell how you enjoyed the samadhi? Because there is no mind. If the mind is there, then it can watch and it can tell you. But where the mind itself is not there, who can tell you? So he gives that the salt doll goes into a ocean to measure the ocean. How it could not come back? Because it got melted. So the mind can melt like that. So he says that this I has got, when it is attached to jiva, it is called wicked I, the rogue I. This I cannot be removed. So long as the body consciousness is there, the I has to remain. Because of the I remaining only, the body consciousness also is remaining. And vice versa. If the body consciousness, so long we are continuing, and the I will always remain. So, Sri Ramakrishna says that this wicked I will always be there. Then what to do? Then as a devotee, the wicked I cannot go. Then I cannot attain the moksha. Then he says, let this rascal I remain as a servant. So he says, it's very beautifully in Bengali he said that Takshala Dasoye. That's what he said. That we cannot exactly translate in English. So he says, the I must remain. If the I must remain, he says, let the rascal remain as the servant I. As in English it is put like that. But there is a beautiful poetical expression, Takshala Dasoye. Yes. Yes, in Bengali it is very beautifully put. And so the I cannot be removed. Then what to do? Let it remain as a servant I. So I am not the master. I am servant of the God. I am his devotee. So if this I is kept, then it won't cause you injury. Sweet things cause acidity. Yes, many people take, recently a ton of sweets we had because Swamiji went to South India and from Mysore he brought Mysore pak and whatnot. And then we have been eating all these things and finding, and devotees are complaining that we are having acidity. Now you see, sweet things give acidity. But luckily we have palm candy also, which is called sugar candy. So palm candy also is there. Palm candy is also sweet, but it doesn't create acidity.
Palm candy, the mystery.
Mystery.
Dulal. That has also come.
Dulal's mystery,
Oh, Dula. Oh, that has also come.
Tal mystery.
Dal mystery.
But this what we have is the genuine Dulal mystery. So they write there, genuine.
Genuine.
So that one we got it. So if you take that one, that will not cause you acidity. That means if I have the ego as a servant ego, that ego will not injure myself or others. Very beautifully Sri Ramakrishna puts it. We shall proceed further. Om Niranjanam Nityam Anantarupam Bhaktanukampa Drita Vikraham Vai Ishavataram Parameshamidhyam Tam Ramakrishnam Shirasa Namamaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.